and they're having to be circumcised, and so they had to take a few days to heal up. It's an interesting thought. Of course, we have talked about circumcision, especially when we talked about baptism and what circumcision actually is. And it's interesting to me that God would make this specific command. Joshua, before we do anything else now, you're going to circumcise. You're going to basically wipe out the past one more time. You're going to get rid of the past in the lives of these men. And I got to thinking about that in regards to this willing and obedient. If you're willing and obedient. And, I don't know how these guys were. I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of young men, and I have no idea. You get down to the individual guy, and you think, well, were all of them like really just like, whatever you say, Joshua, I'm willing and obedient. I don't know how willing they were. But they might have been willing because they heard the news. The news comes filtering down from headquarters. It's like, oh wow, willing. But the fact is, not only were they willing to be circumcised, they actually did it. They were actually obedient. The ones that, well, this is what the leadership says, the spiritual leadership says. This is what God's telling me to do, and so I'm gonna go ahead and be baptized. I'm gonna cut out the past. And here's the thing. Here's the thing for us, the application. We come out of sin, and we come into this land, and it's so easy for us to kind of just be in this wilderness area, and just be a church person. And just be a religious person. Just say, well, I do church on Sundays, and I don't mind the label of Christian, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll go with that and all that. But boy, I don't know the whole circumcision thing. That means that I'm going to absolutely just forget what was in the past. I'm going to leave behind my old lifestyle. To me, obedience, willingness is this kind of the idea of like, well, I'm willing to be a church person. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to come on Sundays, and I'm willing to kind of listen to the music and sing a little bit, and I'm willing to wear the label of Christian. I'm willing to put a bumper sticker on my car. Willingness is all that to me. Obedience, however, is circumcising your heart and saying, my heart, my passions, they used to be going this way. I used to be involved in this in my life. I used to focus on this. I used to do this as a lifestyle choice. But now I'm circumcising my heart. I'm not going to just wear the religious label. I'm going to turn my back on my passions, and I'm going to go this way now. I live this way. It's just a complete cutting off of the past. A complete cutting off of the past. And he said, you know what? If you're willing to do this, but not more than willing, if you're obedient, if you will eliminate things from the past, if you will walk away from lifestyle issues or from a relationship that you need to, whatever it is, if you will walk away from that, if you're not only willing, not only saying, well, that sounds like a good idea, but if you're obedient, then he said, things are going to go well for you. I will bless you. I'm going to have surgery this week again. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm sitting on a stool for a reason. I'm having hernia surgery. So here's the deal. That when I had thumb surgery, it was in the morning, early in the morning, right? And so it's no problem when they say, don't drink anything, don't eat anything. Well, no problem. You're sleeping all night long. And so, but I woke up from this, the anesthesia that morning with a pounding headache because it was late. It was 10, 11 o'clock or something. And I hadn't had any caffeine. And it was just horrible, it's like my thumb was fine. And so then they say, for this surgery that I'm having this week, they said, now your surgery is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I thought, well, no problem. 8 hours before that, no, I can get up early and do my thing. It's great, you know. And the operation people called the other day. They said, now nothing after midnight. And I said, and Jenny was telling me, she said, you better do something about that caffeine thing, or else you're going to have one really miserable day, you know. So anyway, so I thought, yeah, well, you know, yeah, we'll see, you know. So, but anyway, I got to thinking about it, and she's probably right. And so Friday, I had my caffeine, coffee, a couple in the morning, just like I normally do every day. Saturday morning, woke up, fixed decaf. Just like that. I mean, no half and half, you know. I mean, half caffeine and half. No, it's like, you know, kind of easing into it. It's like, no, Friday caffeine, Saturday no caffeine. Sunday morning, this morning, losing an hour, no caffeine. If I'm a little snippy, you'll understand why. One day, having caffeine, the next day. That's the picture. That's the picture. He doesn't want us to kind of ease into things. He's like, no. Do you realize what I've done for you? Do you realize the slavery and the bondage you were in? And it's not about being a religious thing. It's not like going, oh, well, I kind of like this church thing. He's like, no. You cut it out. You cut off those things. You circumcise your heart. Willingness is doing the church thing. Obedience is saying, I am His. I am His and His alone. I belong to God. Amen? That's it. He said, I belong to God. Well, so anyway, that they all heal up and they get they're all ready to go. And then so now we're on verse 13 of chapter 5. So they're across the river. They're healing up. They're getting ready. And just kind of waiting upon God, waiting upon, you know, the people are waiting upon Joshua, the leadership, to tell them, you know, what's the next step. And it says in verse 13, now Joshua was near Jericho, and he looked up and he saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Okay, so Joshua's walking around. Here they are, they're near Jericho. Okay, now Jericho is a walled city. We'll get into Jericho in just a minute. But they're camped around Jericho. Okay, there's just 2 million people. They're camped around Jericho, all around it. And Joshua, of course, has to figure out how they're going to take the city. And so you know, he's like, you know, there he is. He's thoughtful. He's walking around. He's walking around the foothills. He's walking around his camp, and he's kind of thinking about things. And he's looking things over. And, you know, kind of scoping things out. And it says, and he looked up, and there was this guy standing there with a sword that was drawn. And Joshua says to him, are you, like a good commander would do, the guy in charge, are you for us or are you for our enemies? And the guy says, no. So always a smart aleck in every crowd. Are you for us or are you for our enemies? Verse 14, neither, he replied.